Have you ever said something to a woman and instantly saw her eyes light up? Or maybe nothing happened at all. No spark, no reaction. Just polite nods and a quick excuse to leave. What if I told you it wasn't your looks, your money, or your car? It was your words. Yes, words. There are certain things, when spoken with calm authority and emotional precision, that no woman can resist. And here's the twist. These phrases are rooted not in pickup lines, but in Stoic philosophy. Today we'll uncover 7 phrases that, when said with the right energy and intention, tap into the deepest desires of the female mind: respect, safety, mystery, and emotional depth. But don't get too comfortable, because the last one? It's the one most men are terrified to say. Let's begin. 1. I respect your space. It sounds like a simple sentence, right? But in reality it carries a power most men never understand. Because let's face it, most guys do the opposite. They text too much. They overthink every pause. They panic when a woman pulls back, and they chase harder. But when you calmly say, I respect your space, you're doing something rare. You're expressing emotional independence. A core Stoic belief. You don't need to control the outside world, only your response to it. You're telling her, I am not desperate for your attention. I have a life, a mission, and peace within myself. You are free to come and go. Ask yourself this. When was the last time someone truly respected your space without sulking, pressuring, or disappearing? Exactly. You probably felt drawn to that person, intrigued, safe. That's exactly how she feels when you say it with quiet confidence. It's a paradox. The more space you give, the closer she often wants to be. Because you're not chasing, you're allowing, you're leading. This phrase doesn't just show restraint, it shows strength. It's the verbal equivalent of standing still in a storm without flinching. But here's the kicker. What happens when your silence, your calmness, makes her curious, and she starts testing you, pushing your emotional buttons? Will you stay composed or crumble? Let's dive into that next. 2. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. Say that out loud, slowly. Feel how calm and secure it sounds? Now compare that to how most guys act. They rush the moment. They want answers. Where is this going? Or do you feel the same way? They crave validation and start pushing for commitment before the connection is even solid. But Stoicism teaches us something radically different. Patience is power, and real power doesn't beg, chase, or panic. It waits, calmly. By saying this phrase, you communicate something women deeply desire: emotional safety. You're not here to pressure her. You're not fragile or needy. You are grounded, stable, unshaken. In a world full of insecure men looking for instant gratification, your patience becomes a magnetic force. Of course, this only works if you say it right. Say it with the energy of a lost puppy, and guess what? You're not stoic, you're just available. Delivered with calm detachment, this phrase becomes a statement of quiet strength. It says, I'm not desperate, I'm solid, with or without your decision. It also signals that you have options, not just romantic ones, but in life. You're not just waiting, you're living, and that kind of energy, it pulls her in. Bridge to next point, but here's the twist. Patience is powerful, but on its own, it can be misunderstood. What if she starts to wonder if you're just passive? Or worse, starts questioning your strength and masculine edge? That's when you need to flip the script. With the next phrase, 3. You're free to disagree with me. Now that's a phrase most men avoid like the plague. Why? Because deep down, many fear losing control. They believe that disagreement is rejection, that if a woman challenges them, they've lost the upper hand. But Stoicism flips this thinking. It says, the truth doesn't fear debate. A confident man doesn't need agreement to feel valid. He welcomes different opinions. He listens. He's not here to dominate, but to understand. By saying, you're free to disagree with me, you do something powerful. You give her psychological safety. You make space for her mind, not just her presence. You show her that your ego doesn't need constant approval. And here's the twist, that very freedom creates deeper connection.
Let's be real. Would you want someone who mirrors everything you say like a parrot? Or someone who sharpens your thoughts with a little fire? Exactly. Disagreement isn't a threat. It's a spark. It means she's engaged. She's present. And when handled calmly, it often leads to emotional intimacy. But here's the key. You must stay rooted. You don't need to win the argument. You need to stay centered. That's the Stoic advantage. Bridge to next point. Still, there's one more layer to this. Disagreement is healthy, but what about when conflict threatens your peace? When things get heated and you're tempted to prove a point at all costs? That's when your real power is tested. And the next phrase might be the one that saves the relationship before it crashes. Let's explore it. 4. Let's take a break and come back to this. Most men hear that and panic. They think it means things are falling apart, that they're losing control. But a Stoic man, he sees the wisdom in pause. He knows that mastery over emotions isn't proven in calm. It's tested in chaos. When conflict rises, the average guy digs in. He fights harder, raises his voice, argues to win. But when you calmly say, let's take a break and come back to this, you demonstrate something far more rare, emotional discipline. You're telling her, this conversation matters, but not more than our peace. You're putting clarity over ego. And ironically, that clarity often leads to resolution far quicker than forcing the issue ever could. Ever try arguing while hangry? Yeah. Not exactly Nobel Peace Prize behavior. Sometimes the most masculine thing you can do is step back. Not walk away, step back, refocus, regroup, and then return, not as a reactor, but as a responder. This isn't weakness. It's strategy. It says, I value both of us too much to ruin this in the heat of the moment. Bridge to next point. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you return after that break, you've proven your strength, your calm, your control. But now she's watching closely, wondering, is this man always this emotionally composed, or is he hiding something deeper? That's where vulnerability, strategic, powerful vulnerability, can transform everything. And the next phrase, it's the one most men are terrified to say, but when used right, it creates a bond nothing can shake. Stay with me. 5. I was wrong about that, just 6 words, but they hit like a lightning bolt because almost no man says them, not out loud, not sincerely. Why? Because most believe admitting they're wrong makes them look weak, like they're giving up power. But here's the truth. Stoicism teaches that admitting your flaws is a form of strength. The weak man hides behind pride. The strong man owns his mistakes and grows from them. When you calmly say, I was wrong about that, you disarm her defenses. You signal maturity. You stop playing the ego game and instead invite honesty. You're saying, I am human. I can reflect, I can evolve. And let's be honest, who would you trust more? A man who's always right, no matter how wrong he is, or one who can say, you know what? I missed that. You were right. Exactly. Humility isn't submission, it's magnetism, especially when it comes from a man who's clearly capable, confident, and composed. That contrast? It's irresistible. And here's the real beauty. When you own your errors, you give her permission to do the same. The relationship becomes less about winning and more about understanding. Bridge to next point. But now, she feels safe. She sees your strength, and she may start to lean in, trust you, reveal her deeper self. That's when the final phrase becomes your most powerful tool. It's not about control. It's not about being clever. It's about creating a moment of emotional intimacy that can flip the entire dynamic. With just 5 words. Ready?
6. If I'm the right man, you'll know no chasing, no pleading, no pressure. This single sentence flips the entire dynamic. Instead of trying to prove your worth, you calmly state a truth and walk away from the outcome. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're not convincing her, you're standing firm in your identity. That's Stoicism. Not reactive, not needy, just rooted. You're saying, I won't beg to be seen, I already see myself clearly. And that self-certainty? It's magnetic, because attraction doesn't come from pressure, it comes from presence. Let's be real, if Marcus Aurelius had a dating profile, it would probably just say this. And then he'd toss his phone into the Tiber. In a world loud with men trying too hard, be the one who speaks less, but means more. Your calm, grounded presence is louder than 1,000 compliments, because it's not just the words you say, it's the man you become when you say them. And when she senses that energy, that self-assured stillness, she won't resist. She'll lean in, and you won't need to chase. If you found this eye-opening, don't just sit on it, act on it. Subscribe now for more Stoic wisdom, dating psychology, and powerful truths every man needs to hear. and drop a comment which phrase hit you the hardest. Because the moment you master your words, you start mastering the game.